What's going on, Kingdom Warriors? Welcome back to my channel. I've been on a little hiatus for a few days. I have had a really unusual headache for 3 days straight, and it was getting pretty bad. But I feel a lot better now, and God put a lot of things on my heart this morning. So I've got like probably 3 videos to get out. They might not all come out today, but that's typically how it works with me. And I'm just kind of getting into a flow, and this is all new to me, but God's been gracious and walking me along. And then yeah, and then also with the headache, my mom, I called her for some prayer. My mom has a gift of healing. And those in my immediate family know, like, if you got something going on, you just call Mama Grace for some prayer. And man, she actually has a brother that he actually recently passed away, but he was battling, I believe it was colon cancer, and he had stage 3 or whatever the final stage is, where they pretty much put you on hospice. And she came and prayed for him, and he made a recovery. But for whatever reason, eventually he it came back, and he did pass away recently. But when her mother was giving birth to her, she had one name picked out, and then she was born so fast that she was holding her, and she just looked at her and said, "Oh wow, this is my graceful child," because she has 10 kids, and so she just chose to name her Grace. And so, say a prayer for Mama Grace. All right, guys. So today, uh, I kind of just want to talk about, well, it's building off of my last video. If you watched it, to summarize it in a nutshell, it was basically talking about the importance of being able to develop spiritual ears for yourself and your spiritual senses in general. I came across a few dreams of other people recently, and then there's also uh, some from the past, from quite a while ago, just like mine, that I'm starting to realize I'm seeing a lot of confluence or a lot of similarities. And that's kind of what I always look for. Like the Bible says, let there be 2 or 3 witnesses. um, God speaks to us all uniquely, but we should all kind of be hearing the same thing, if that makes sense. So there's kind of two main points that I'm getting from these dreams, and I'll probably post them in the description. But to give you a quick summary, Marcus, his name is Marcus. His channel is called Walk This Way. Awesome brother in the Lord, has a lot of prophetic dreams and insights. And so he had a dream quite a while ago. He just called it the elevator dream. And essentially, it's like if you were to walk in a big hotel lobby, and like a really big one, and there's like 5 elevators on each side, and it's just really busy. Well, it's almost like he could, I guess, see through the walls, and he could just see all the different elevators, and they were going up and down. They were just all doing their own thing, as elevators do. But they represented like cryptos, right? So it just seemed like they were all doing their own thing, right? They were deep head, and as we all know, typically, um, Bitcoin, whatever it's doing, everything follows it for the most part. If it's going up, the whole market's going up. If it's going down, same thing. The other dream, I believe it was, yeah, Brandon Biggs. You guys may be familiar. He's got really popular because of his Trump prophecy. Saw him get nicked in the ear before it happened. He had a dream recently, or it might have been a vision, but in his, basically, he saw roller coasters, ups and down, and it was representative of the market. High highs and low lows. And then I'm also part of a Patreon, Philip Paul, and he had someone in there share the same thing. They saw a roller coaster. Now, with me, if you looked at my video, one of them, the one where we were leaving what I felt like was a casino, but I was never there. I just knew we were leaving what I felt like was a casino, and we crashed into a fence, and then I went into the trunk and told the other people, "Don't worry, we've got insurance," and I popped the trunk. I feel like I got some more revelation on that. But the first thing I want to point out is the confluences between these three visions. So an elevator has high highs and low lows, right? It can go really low and it can go really high. Same with a roller coaster. It can go really low and it can go really high. They also have an emotion attached to them, particularly a roller coaster. As you're going up the roller coaster, click, click, click. If you've ever been on one, there's an anticipation. There's a lot of emotion. And obviously, when you go down the other side, it's an emotional roller coaster. Same thing with a casino. Just picture, I've never played it, but I would imagine when you're playing roulette, and you're spinning the wheel, and you don't know where it's going to land. It's a lot. You see people around cheering. There's a lot of anticipation. Not so much with elevators in the, like, in your body, but they do go high and they do go low. And if I'm not mistaken, in this dream, they may have been moving really fast. But my point is that I feel what God is kind of trying to say throughout all these things is that it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. And in order for you to have confidence, you're going to have to be hearing from the Lord in what to be in, because there's going to be times where it looks like you're in the wrong investment or the whole market is tanking. And this is manipulation to shake you out. So, again, my point going back to this is why it's really important that you hear from God. I can tell you for sure that it's awesome to hear all these dreams and visions and everything like that on YouTube. But if you find yourself looking for a lot of them, it's because you're trying to reassure yourself continuously because you're not sure. But if God talks to you personally, you will have a lot more conviction. And also, what you personally are supposed to do may be different from the person's video that you're watching. So that's why I keep going back and emphasizing that, because, I really don't want you guys to miss anything God has for you. Although I believe if you do, He'll create another opportunity and it'll be even better because He's awesome like that. Um, there's another kind of point to those dreams. I don't want to make this video too long, but I will point out that there was a commenter, and by the way, thank you guys that have helped me with revelations. Many of you have awesome gifts. So in my dream, at the very end, after the car, it was a Rolls Royce crashed through a fence, and someone pointed out that after the car crashed, the other two passengers were extremely concerned and worried. And I said, "Don't worry, we've got insurance." But then I went and popped the trunk, and the dream was over. I never saw what was in the trunk. And I always thought that was strange. I'm like, well, why would you go to the trunk for insurance? You keep that in the glove box. Well, someone pointed out that the trunk probably represents a cold storage wallet, right? Completely offline, safe if your crypto's on there. And that resonated with me hard. And the way my gift works is it's like a gift of discernment. Before I finally kind of stepped out in faith and started waiting on the Lord and beginning to hear from Him personally for myself, the way it always worked for me is when I would listen to other people, they would say certain things, and it was like a meter from 1 through 10 that would like just ding, ding, ding in my spirit. And over time, I learned it was really accurate. And so, yeah, it was the same way when that particular person left that dream. When he mentioned that the trunk in that dream represented a cold storage wallet, I was like, that's it. I really feel like that's it. So, what I would say with that is make sure you guys do have a cold storage wallet and you are using it. I know I do. And, whatever I'm not using or trading, I keep it on there. And I have noticed that, like for example, WikiCat is one that's been performing really well lately, and XRP as well. What I had on there was kind of like peanuts, and it's grown significantly, and it has been kind of like an insurance policy for me because I had some bad leverage trades in the beginning of this market, and I was like, man, I wish I never started using leverage, and then I totally fell back from it. But then I went and looked at my cold storage wallet, and I'm like, whoa, that's like grew way more than that, what I even lost, and I didn't even realize it. So that dream may have been for me, but I also do believe it's a double meaning that you can't trust these exchanges. They've been doing some really weird stuff. You can see on the blockchain that they're doing massive sell-offs of Solana and particular cryptos. Definitely Bitcoin, I think maybe XRP, but they're manipulating the markets essentially, big time. They're not your friend, all right? And as many of you know, Coinbase, who I don't even have them, cannot stand Coinbase, but they canceled everybody's limit orders. I'm not sure if it was in general or just on Shiba Inu, but definitely on Shiba Inu. It has to be like within 10% of the current price. In other words, like that's a direct, that's it's obvious who that is directed at. You know what I'm saying? So just be cautious of where your funds are. And if you know that the Lord told you to use a particular exchange or do what you're doing, then you have no fear of what you don't have to worry about it. But if you're not sure of that, then I suggest you seek Him about where you should have what, because it's going to be unique for you. All right. And I just think that when I look at this whole thing, like God is pretty genius in what He's doing. All right, because He's baiting us, and He does that a lot. He's just reeling us in. He's just baiting us. He's making it abundantly obvious that we're gonna need Him for the times ahead, because it's gonna be like Marcus's elevator dream where things are gonna decouple, and there might be times where, and I've already seen this, even though Bitcoin is going down, there's going to be particular assets that go up like 20, 30, who knows, in the future might be significantly, like, a lot. And the only way you would know to be in that asset is either by luck or it's divine. And I think that's what we're going to start to see a lot more. Time will tell. But what that's going to do is it's going to make people start to seek Him out because, He uses the hooks in our flesh. God takes bad and turns it to good. Obviously, he doesn't want us chasing money, but it's a natural desire for us. Most people want to have that financial freedom. They don't want to have to go to a job that they hate. And so a lot of people are in this, even if they've convinced themselves it's not just about the money. Unfortunately, for many of us, it's more about that than seeking after God. So he will use that to hook you. But what you're going to find is that when you start seeking him, even if you may have an ulterior motive, you're going to fall in love with him. I was just telling my wife the other day, it's exactly what I'm saying now. These videos are probably like a repeat for her, but it's true though. You're going to find it. You fall in love with him, even when you're seeking after something else, just being in his presence. It's like what you always never knew that you needed. And you also just have to remember, like, I'm not, sometimes I feel like when I make these videos, it's like I'm condemning you or I'm saying, you don't really love God. Like, you just want that. I'm talking to myself first and foremost, because the thing about us as people is we can have these motives that we don't even realize are there. We can actually convince ourselves of something because we believe it. I'm sure you all are familiar with that person. We all know that person, or it might have been a particular situation where they're just saying something over and over, and it's not true, but they've convinced themselves that it's true because they just keep repeating it. You know what I mean? It's just something that happens, especially with someone that literally has a spirit of lying or is a liar. They convince themselves of their lies. And think about the father of lies. He's the original. I feel that he literally convinced himself that he could defeat God, or else why would he be doing all this if he didn't think he could win? I mean, he's going through a massive amount of organization and campaigning and just trying to stop things. And he's been running to and fro on the earth, causing all this chaos. And there must be times where he thinks he's going to win, or I don't see why else he would do it. So, he's literally deceived himself. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that God can see the intent of our hearts. So even though you might not think you have any ulterior motives, just simply ask God to reveal the intents of your heart to you, because he has just scales and he can reveal things to you that you didn't even know were there. And that's when you really start to get breakthrough. Um, it's just kind of like taking accountability, but it's a level above that because you're taking accountability of things that you didn't even know were there by just stepping out in faith and asking God to reveal it to you. So that's what I'm really after with you guys when I keep beating on build a relationship with him, because you will need it. And sooner or later, I promise you, you're going to build it anyway. But the sooner you do it, the less you'll miss out on. So just please get on that, you guys. Looking at my whiteboard here that I jotted some notes on. So let me just kind of get to the end of the video with this, because I know that I talk a lot about building a relationship with the Father. And the enemy is going to attack your mind. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And there's also a parable of the sower where the enemy came, and as soon as the seeds were sown, the enemy came and stole them. That's one of the outcomes that happens. When you hear something that is of God, the enemy will try to come and steal it from you, and he'll give you your flavor. The spirits that the familiar spirits that are familiar with your weaknesses and the things that you struggle with individually and in your bloodline, they're going to hit you with that angle. And they're going to try to twist it and whatever they can to get you not to receive this. Like, for example, a lot of people, they may feel like they don't have time to spend with the Lord, right? Or they're too so busy, or this is what I would say to you. Think about the story where there was a woman that gave, I believe she gave like a copper coin. Maybe it was the equivalent of a penny, but it was very, very little. But Jesus said to his disciples, do you see that woman right there? She gave more than everyone else because she gave all she had, right? So it wasn't about the amount of money she gave, it was how much money she gave in relation to how much she had overall. And I would like you to think about your time that way as well, right? If I have 8 free hours a day and I spend 7 of them with God, but you have 5 minutes free a day and you spend those 5 minutes with God, then you did better than I, right? Because you were a better steward of your time. You have to understand the way God looks at things. And we'll never fully understand it, but he will reveal it to you in part. And what I can tell you is he is just beyond what we can realize, and he's very fair. So whenever you want to doubt something and start to, have the negative thought pattern, that's where you got to activate your faith. If God is trying to lead you to do something, and you do it in faith, there will be awesome rewards for that. So hopefully that encourages somebody. Because I know a lot of us, we've got the time constraints, we've got the job and the family and all these different things going on. And even me in this season, I'm stepping out in faith. Things are tight for me financially, and I really feel like this is something God has me doing, and I'm stepping out in faith. And there's been a lot of really tight months, but there's not been a time where we weren't able to meet, the needs of what we have with our bills and everything like that. So I believe the act of faith is a great way to get the attention of God when your intent is good. Um, Also, I want to point out that the veil is thinning right now. And what I mean by that is that Jesus said, all these miracles have I done, greater works shall you do in the last days. And it also talks about how young men will dream dreams and old men will have visions. And I might be quoting it wrong, but the point is that in the last days, the Spirit of God would be poured out and there would be people doing mighty works of God. I've actually heard someone see a vision of the future, and they said that an earthquake happened and someone just put their hand up and the earthquake undid itself, and everything came back together. So whether that's true or not, we'll have yet to see, but that's awesome. I wouldn't put any limitations on God. I try not to do that, try not to put him in a box because he's God. But the reason why I bring that up is because we have a great opportunity. Some of the most powerful prayer warriors we have are like these 90-year-old grandmas because they've been waking up for the last 40 years every night and praying faithfully 3 hours a night, interceding for the world, and no one knows who they are. But in heaven, those who are least on the earth are greatest there. Those people will be like superheroes. And it doesn't matter what your physical stature is. It means literally nothing in the spirit. I promise you, some of God's baddest warriors are, like I said, 90-year-old grandmas and things of that nature. So but what's cool is that those people that had to spend 40 and 50 years cultivating that gift, it's so much more available to us. We can cultivate something like that in 10 years. And I believe the next generation will be able to do it in 5. And as the veil thins between our realm and the spirit realm, it's going to become easier and easier and easier to tap in. And it's an awesome gift. It's an awesome gift. So take advantage of it. Um, and that's kind of the gist of what I have for you guys today. I hope this message blessed you. I hope it encouraged you. And, you know, God reminds me oftentimes, remember the point of your channel, because I don't know how I've got so much into the finance and the crypto stuff. That wasn't my intention, but it's really, I'm not doing this for me. It's all about him. And I don't think he has an issue with me talking about that, but he always reminds me, remember to always come back to love, and God is love. So I definitely want to help you guys with that stuff. Maybe I'll even get into charting a little bit and some tips that can help you. If there's a crypto you want to get in to get a good entry, and I find Fibonacci is really good. You can learn where a golden pocket is on a chart and get a good entry. But ultimately, our first motive has to be relationship with God, and then we just build from there. And it just gives you confidence that you can't go wrong. So remember, we are sons and daughters of the Most High God. So whatever you guys do, be royal.